You could follow every rule in the Bible and it still might mean nothing. Not a little off, not slightly wrong, nothing. And if you don't understand this, you could read the whole Bible and completely miss out on what it's actually about. Because the Bible, contrary to some popular belief, is not a rule book. Let's talk about legalism, because this is where a lot of people get it twisted. Legalism is the idea that if you behave well enough, if you follow the rules closely enough, and if you clean up your life enough, then you're good with God. That your actions earn the relationship. Do you see the problem? Because the Bible flips that completely. It's not act right and you'll be accepted. It's you're brought into relationship and then everything changes. That's the difference. Look at the people who seem the most right in the Bible. The Pharisees, the religious leaders in the time of Jesus Christ. These guys had it all together on the outside. They followed the law. They memorized scripture. They lived disciplined, moral lives. If anyone looked like they were right with God, it was them. And yet, Jesus confronts them harder than anyone else. Why? Because they had behavior without relationship. That's the key. They were doing all the right things, but for the wrong reason. Or worse, with no real connection to God at all. In Matthew 23, Jesus says they honor God with their lips, but their hearts are far from him. That is legalism. It's outward obedience with no inward relationship. And this is where it hits you. Because if there's no relationship, then all the good you do doesn't come from God. It comes from discipline, image, pressure, fear, or just wanting to be seen as a good person. But not love, not connection, not transformation. And if that's the case, what are you actually doing? You're performing. The Bible keeps making this clear. God isn't after behavior first. He's after relationship. Because when the relationship is real, behavior follows. Not forced, not faked, not performed. It changes naturally. Think about it like this. If you actually love someone, you don't sit there thinking, what is the bare minimum I have to do to keep this going? You move differently. So if someone says they know God, but their life doesn't reflect anything about him, what does that tell you? Because the New Testament keeps pointing back to this. In places like Romans and Galatians, you're not made right with God by what you do, but by faith, by trust, by relationship. And once that's real, obedience isn't a checklist anymore. It's a result. This is why legalism is so dangerous. Because it convinces you that as long as you look right, you are right. Even if there's no real connection to God at all. And here's the misunderstanding. People hear this and think, So behavior doesn't matter. I can do whatever I want. I'll just have a relationship with God and then I do whatever I want. That's not what this is saying. Behavior matters, but it reveals something. It reveals whether the relationship is actually there. Because if you truly know God, if you truly have a relationship with Him, you're not going to move in ways that go directly against Him. Not perfectly, but genuinely. That is the way you'll move. Not perfectly, but genuinely. Why? Because you're not just following rules anymore. You're responding to someone you know. So the next time you read the Bible and you see commands, rules, instructions, you're not looking at a system to prove yourself. You're seeing what life looks like when it's connected to God. And that changes everything. Because now the question isn't, what do I need to do to be good enough? It's, what do I actually know about God? Do I actually know God? Am I in a relationship with God? That's the real question. So when you see legalism in the Bible, you're not guessing anymore. You understand what it's missing. May the truth set us all free.